The difference between me and Ishvara is that I have ignorance, whereas Ishvara does not. The moment I lift my ignorance and I know myself as limitless consciousness, just the way Ishvara knows itself as limitless consciousness, my suffering will be removed. Okay? So it's not that we have been sent here to suffer. It is the natural, it's the natural way in which everything is. Yes?
Know that we are ignorant, it is necessary that we should suffer. Why is ignorance an important condition in order to realize that we are ignorant? Like I talk about ignorance. So you said that when they will encounter suffering, that is when that they realize that they are living in sort of a.
When you realize that there is a problem,
yeah.
you will not realize they are ignorant about this. They will realize that there is a problem. And I need to find a solution.
So
actually, see, it's not necessary for you to suffer to come to this knowledge. Yes? But every human being is suffering, which is a fact. The very fact that we have a body and mind means that we are suffering at some level, because we have to undergo many pains, the pain of even going from young age to old age, many diseases, many illnesses, they are also part of suffering. Yes. So all this is suffering, and human beings want to know the solution. Yes. And so we come to the inquiry of self. Yes.
Okay, the person is ignorant about being ignorant. We see that. And we want to, some persons, when you realize that there is a truth beyond this, there is a truth, and there is essentially happening in a core, and we will find it under this what we call as secret. We know that. And we see that the person is ignorant about it. Now you want to help the person also know the reality that you are aware of. But how will we go about it? If we don't want them to really suffer to an extent that they go on their own on the inquiry path. If you want to help them to go on that path before they suffer.
So in the Indian culture, there was a tradition that from the very beginning, children were introduced to the knowledge. That this is the knowledge, and therefore you have to live the path of dharma. And we'll talk about what dharma means. Okay, so therefore you have to live the path of dharma. From the very beginning they were introduced to who they are. Gave them an understanding. So that when they suffer, they know how to deal with it. Okay, so it was from the very beginning. To ask for a solution, you need to have a problem. Yes? Until unless you don't have a problem, I might be telling you 100 things, you will not see the relevance of it in your life. Yes. So for that, the student needs to himself ask, give me a solution. Okay. Until and unless Arjuna did not ask Krishna to teach him, Krishna did not teach him. Krishna was Arjuna's cousin. They had grown up together. Right? For so many years, he did not teach him. At the point where he needed the knowledge, he was confused, he was overpowered by the situation, and he was suffering. He asked for a solution, and then he was taught. Okay. Yes.
Sir, I have two questions. So first is, so we all study all these things quite often and we hear about it also. But what I have personally experienced is over time, with time, so I tend to forget. So today I may study about who am I, Ahamkara, but with time I forget about it. So this is one thing. Another thing is you talked about consciousness. So I was thinking, क्या ऐसा possible है कि consciousness एक अलग से we can get hold of it, capture it कि okay this is consciousness, or we can only see consciousness being manifested in different forms of the universe as we see now.
You are conscious.
You are conscious. That's what I was going to say. That's so. First question is a very good question, which is that, okay, I have seen this whole analysis, I am Brahman. Tomorrow I will forget it. Rather, tomorrow after this workshop, I will live my life the way I was living. Yes? So, what is this all about? So, this is the knowledge that we have to reach. It's not that I have told you and you have understood. It's not that. This is where you have to reach. You've been shown the goal. Now you'll be shown the path. How do you live in a manner that you understand this reality? So slowly you have to bring this reality in your life and graduate to a level where you can keep this in your mind. The problem of memory that you're saying, that I forget. You forget because your way of thinking about yourself is still as I am this body and mind. How do we correct it? That process of correction needs to begin with every action. Every action has to be used as an opportunity to correct this error. And we will talk about it. How do we bring this knowledge in our life so that we never forget it? Yes. And how do we get hold of ourselves, our consciousness? There is no getting hold of itself, You are consciousness. Okay?
ये जो awareness है, body तो बाहर है, एक awareness है. That's it.
Sometimes it is difficult to digest.
It is not an object. You have to understand. Consciousness is not an object of knowledge. You can't get hold of it. Okay. So, I want to just show you this verse, which sort of sums up all that we have said so far. It's a verse from the Ishopanishad. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijarta tatra ko moha kah shoka ekatvam anupashyata. He who sees all beings in himself, he has the perfect knowledge. He sees oneness everywhere. How shall he be deluded? From what shall he have faith? So we started by saying that suffering. We started talking about suffering. And Vedanta says that once you know yourself as limitless Brahman, then there will be no suffering. There will be no cause for suffering yet. Because what will you be struggling for? There will be no struggling, there will be no striving, there will be no trying to feel myself. You will live in your fullness, knowing that you are happiness, knowing that you are fulfilled. So there will be no suffering. One who sees oneness everywhere. How do we see this oneness? We'll explain. A quote by Sri Aurobindo. This freedom and this oneness are the secret goal of our human nature. and the ultimate will in the existence of the human race. It is that to which it must turn for the happiness all mankind is now vainly seeking. This freedom, that I am free, this knowledge of oneness is what we need to turn for our pursuit of happiness. When once men lift their eyes and their hearts to see the divine in them and around, in all and everywhere, and learn that it is in Him they live, this is the sense of liberation and the secret of perfection. So he puts it very beautifully. We spoke about divine. How can I be divine? Now we know that Ishvara, the divine, is not separate from me. The truth of this individual and the truth of Ishvara is one and the same consciousness. Okay, so now we will see how do we bring it all in our life and make our life better. So first we will see the nature of our mind right now. What are the problem areas which we have to correct? Okay. The first thing is Ahamkara. So I touched upon it just a little bit before the break. Somebody asked me. Due to ignorance, one considers oneself as separate from others. Right? The first thing that we have to understand. When I say I mean this person, I don't mean any other person. Right? So this sense of separation is there in my mind or not? It's there. Right? I am just this much. Okay? One considers oneself as only this body and mind. Now when considers oneself as only this body and mind, then what happens? Then the gain of this body and mind is my gain, and the pain of this body and mind is my pain. All the afflictions of this body and mind are my afflictions. I take it all upon myself. Yes? This is very, very fundamental. I read a study, I did not include it here, but now I remember. I read a very nice study. In 1979, a professor by the name of Ellen Lighter, she conducted this study where she took a group of old people to a holiday retreat. Okay? These were people in the age of 70 above. So they were really old and senile and considered themselves as good for nothing. So she took them for a holiday for a week, and that place was recreated as 20 years back. So when these people were 50 years old, younger, when they were younger, that place was recreated to look like that. So right from the furniture to the food, to the women, to the movies, the news on the television, everything was from 20 years back. And we were told, behave like you are 20 years younger, think of yourself as 20 years younger, address each other as 20 years younger. Okay. And they did this experiment for a week. The study is called counterclockwise study, Ellen Lighter. Now, after a week, they were observed. Firstly, they were walking straight. Some of them had left their walking stick. Okay. Their vision and hearing improved. Their dexterity improved, flexibility improved. Some people's IQ improved in a week. Many results were there. They looked younger. They depended less on others. They were doing their work on their own, which a week back they were not doing. What changed? What changed? What? Their sense of self. Their presumption about themselves changed. I am old. This changed to I am young. Right? Where is the age? Age is in the body. Yes? You take out that presumption that I am limited to my body. Body is me, fine. But am I limited to the body? I'm not. The moment you take out that presumption that I'm limited to the body, the whole way of life changes. So, Ahamkara is when you take the afflictions of this body and mind on the self and you suffer. If a person has anxiety, for example, a person has anxiety, he begins to think, I am anxious, and then he gets more anxious. Right? Whereas if he begins to think that yes, there is anxiety, but it is limited to my mind and my body. I am more than it. It's a way of relieving your anxiety. It's a way of moving forward. Right? You have to understand this. There are many implications of Ahamkara. Some of the ones which we will talk about today is that personal interests supersede collective interests. So, we think about my future, my career, my life, my future, my life, my career is limited to this person. The interest of others is secondary. We think about, yes, we need to help others, but secondary. First, I need to take care of my needs. Yes? Because I am this wanting person and I need to first fulfill myself, then I will think about others. Yeah? And this reduces us to a very crude mentality of feed, fed, and fulfill this one entity. And some people do it even at the cost of others. Right? There are politicians, there are corporates, there are lawyers and doctors and educated people who are so limited in their view of their life, their future, that they neglect the interests of others when they are working on their life, when they are living their life. And there are conflicts. There are conflicts at every level. Wherever the sense of separation exists, there are conflicts. And because of these conflicts, there is personal suffering and there is collective suffering. The world becomes a very difficult place to live. Right? And one is driven solely by one's own likes and dislikes. Vedanta makes a very simple distinction between our reactions to everything. It says that we have two basic reactions to everything. One is like, one is dislike. Like means raga, dislike means dvesha. Dislike means dvesha. The word for dislike is dvesha. What does it mean? I don't like this and I want it to change. I don't like this, I want it to change. There are people in our life whose nature we don't like, and we are constantly thinking, why is he not changing? Why is he not changing? Why is he not changing? Constant fixation. If I like something, then I want it to remain the same. I don't want it to change. Right? Raga and dvesha. These are fixations, because of which we hang on to things. Right? We hold on very tightly to everything, and we feel that we say that this should not change, this should change, this should not change, this should change. This is a reactive mind. And every day it has implications. It has implications when we fail, when we do something and the result is not as per our expectation. Yeah? Because in Vedanta we don't say failure, we say perceived failure. What I consider as failure. What happened is an objective situation. One person's failure is another person's success. So we don't look at anything as failure, but as an objective reality, which may be perceived as failure. So the result was not as per my liking, and so I consider it as failure. And I react, and I feel like a failure. I say I am a failure, I am a loser. So I superimpose the failure onto the self. People go into depression, people go into one failure can send people on a depression trip. People fail in relationships, their whole life is ruined. It's downhill from there. One failure. Because they're holding so tightly to it. Yeah? Then adverse situations. Every day we face situations, things which are not as per our liking. Yeah? Traffic is not as per our liking. Pollution is not as per our liking. People are not as per our liking. We can't change everything, but we keep reacting. And opposing opinions, which is very fundamental to our relationships, interpersonal relationships. We don't like the other person's opinions and we react to it without considering the other person's point of view. It's only based on my likes and dislikes. Now what do we have to do? We have to work on these things. All these things are rooted in our ignorance. Okay? Somebody asked that what will be the motive of my action? The motive, the purpose of my action should be to purify my mind. Okay? Mind is where the knowledge will take place. We have to make our mind ready. Okay? You have to overcome your reactive nature. You have to overcome your sense of separation. You have to see the connections that we have just shown you. That becomes the purpose of your life. Every action is an opportunity for you to work on this. The Gita says, Kain Manasa Buddhaya केवलेन इन्द्रियैः योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति संगम त्यक्त्वा आत्मशुद्धये. Okay? Sangam Tyaktva. Tyaktva means giving up. Sangam means attachment. What is attachment? Attachment is, if I will not have this, I will be unhappy. If I will lose it, I will be unhappy. This fixation is attachment. It is rooted where? In our sense of inadequacy. I have to give it. I don't have to give up action. Remember, I cannot give up my actions, my life. What I have to give up is this fixation. That I need something to feel happy, to become fulfilled. This fixation has to go. And then the motive becomes Atma Shuddhi. Atma here means the mind. Atma is the word for self. Self can mean the body, self can mean the mind. Here, self means the mind. And the person who is working on his purification is called a yogi. Yogi. Yogi is not just a person in Rishikesh, with long hair and all that. A yogi is every individual who wants to know himself. They do all actions to purify their life. So what I did was I tried to present all of this in the terms of modern psychology, as far as I understand it. So on the level of affect or emotion, we are highly volatile, highs and lows. If I get something I want, high. If I don't get it, low. Reactive. On the level of behavior, I am engaged in multiple pursuits, which we saw in the beginning. Hundreds of pursuits we are engaged in, knocking on every door, trying to feel fulfilled. And on the level of cognition, I have ignorance about myself. What do I have to do? I have to correct it. From reactive to calm and composed, from many branched to purposeful. There has to be a clear purpose. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I have to bring in the knowledge of oneness on the level of cognition. Right? Before the lunch, someone came up to me and talked about cognitive behavior theory, CBT. So Vedanta has its own version of CBT, which is called Karma Yoga. Okay? Has anyone heard of this term?
Yes.
Yeah? So, what?
It's a concept divided by, in organization context, it's divided by Krishna and Buddha. So, that we have read about it.
Sorry, what? What?
So, I read it in the context of organizational settings where it was divided by Krishna and Buddha, and they talked about this concept of family relations.
Yes.
इसके पहले वाला एक सेकंड में मिस कर दिया था लास्ट क्लास में.
So, the whole philosophy of action, of life needs to change. And Sri Aurobindo puts it beautifully, and he says, action is for self-finding, for self-realization. And not only for its own external and apparent fruit of the moment or the future. This is the philosophy of action in Vedanta. What is our philosophy of action? If I do this, I will get this. That's our philosophy. The philosophy of action in Vedanta is no effort. So we look at, it's a huge process, multi-dimensional, multi-level process. Today we will just touch upon it. Some very simple, basic aspects we will see. The first thing that we have to understand is that how should I choose my action? On what basis should I choose my action? Which action should I do? Which action should I not do? On what basis should I make the choice? Presently, what is the criteria?
Benefits. Whatever gives me pleasure, I will choose that.
Yeah.
Or depending on the goal.
Yeah. So, right now, our criteria of choosing action is what will it give me? How will it benefit me? Or what will I gain from it? That's the basic criteria. Now we have already established that there is nothing to be gained. You know, I can't find, I'm looking for permanent fulfillment, permanent happiness. And none of these objects, experiences, relationships, none of them can give me that. So, how do we choose an action? Which action to do? Basis of dharma. What is dharma? Dharma is a very big word. It is a multi-dimensional word, multi-layered meaning. Essentially understand it as your role. Each object in nature is created with a certain role. Each object is doing its role in the universe. Each individual also has to fulfill certain roles. When we choose actions which fulfill our roles, we choose dharma. What are these roles? Basic roles begin with our roles towards our family. We have certain roles towards our parents. If we are married, then our wife or husband, our children. These are roles that we need to fulfill. Our teachers. Teachers are given the highest position in Vedanta. So we have certain roles towards teachers. Towards society, we have certain roles towards various entities in society. And the environment, nature. We need all of these to survive. The life of this one individual is dependent upon these people, these entities. We owe it to them. So we need to recognize how we can fulfill our role towards them. This is our role. How we recognize, how we fulfill it is what our thought should be about. Yes.
But often this becomes the cause of bondage. Why we do this?
Yes, good question. So it becomes a cause of bondage when you are looking for fulfillment in these relationships. Yes? Yeah. Here we are talking about fulfilling our role towards them. For example, how do you fulfill your role towards your teacher? What do you think? How do you fulfill your role towards your teacher?
By being a good student.
By being a good student.
Or whatever knowledge our teacher gave to us, we can implement
Implement it,
Yeah.
right.
And then impart it further.
Yeah.
Then impart it further.
Then impart it further. So everybody's understanding is different. Everybody's understanding is different. You have to interpret your role, understand your role. But first of all, you have to become conscious that you have a role towards your teacher, that you have a role towards your family. It's part of becoming one with these entities. We feel so separate and disconnected with everyone. You know, young people feel so disconnected in their own family. People whom they know. What about other people? How will they feel connected to them? So first, recognize that I have some roles, that I need to take care of my parents, and then work on it. How best can you fulfill it? It's about dharma. It's about doing what needs to be done. Yeah? I'll talk more about it. Okay. Morality is part of dharma, and I'll come to it. Another aspect of dharma is conscious consumption. So we are all consumers. We need 1,000 things to survive every day, from food to water to energy. Using every object of consumption, knowing that so many people have contributed towards it, I need to respect their contribution, and I am sharing these resources with so many other people. This is basic, and a lot of us do follow it. Yes? Don't waste stuff. Use stuff which is not environmentally damaging. All this is part of bringing oneness in our world. I am not isolated from the world. I live within the world, so I have certain roles. I have certain responsibilities towards the world. And a very simple way of bringing in this oneness is by becoming a conscious consumer. And finally, not just being a conscious consumer, you also have to become a contributor. Proactively find ways to contribute. Yeah. Proactively find ways to contribute to everyone, the people you are around. How do you do that? Using whatever talents you have, whatever knowledge you have. For example, you are students of psychology. Use the knowledge of psychology to become a contributor. You may have interests in various things. You may have an interest in art, in music. Use that interest to contribute. And I will give you examples. We can do so much every day. Just by becoming a more conscious person that yes, I coexist with others and I have a role towards others. All this is covered in Dharma. It's all about knowing your role and doing it. Think about any profession. any profession you take, whether it is doctor or lawyer or government, any profession you take, it's about what? Contributing. If you do it correctly, it's about contributing. So you have to bring dharma in your life.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, like you said, that dharma is about identifying what your role is as to your family, society, and with teachers. So sometimes the role that you've identified in oneself is sort of acting as a hindrance to the role that you've identified in the others.
Perfect.
So how to deal with that role?
You have to work out a balance, and you have to find your own balance. So yes, there might be a conflict between my role towards my family and my role towards my society. There might be a conflict. So then it's depending upon your ability to choose, your ability to reason, your ability to differentiate, you will choose. Okay. What you choose is entirely your choice. There is no right and wrong about it. Okay. Vedanta doesn't talk about black and white, right and wrong. There is no term for right and wrong. There are shades. It is your choice. If you choose, there will be an appropriate result. Okay. But you have to find a balance. And your guiding force should be oneness. Okay. If you go by the spirit of oneness, then you can make the right choice. Okay. Choosing dharma ensures collective well-being. So till now, we were only concerned with my well-being, the well-being of this one individual. Whereas now what we are turning towards is that I can give. I'm not just a taker. I can give. I'm capable of giving, which ensures collective well-being, which affects my well-being as well. Yeah? And it is about inculcating oneness. And you take any moral, any definition of morality, any definition of universal human values, whether it is justice, whether it is equality, it's all about oneness. Dharma is that principle of oneness. You have to bring it together. When you are mindful about how your actions are affecting others, it's dharma. And it is about being aligned to the divine order. It is not very simple, like, for example, you fulfill your role towards your parents, your teachers, that's enough. We think that we need to do something great and magnificent and only then our life will be worthy. Just by doing simple roles, we are doing our bit. We are aligned to the divine order. We are aligned to the will of Ishvara. We spoke about the order. Yes, the laws create this entire universe in an orderly manner. And every object has been given a certain role. Every object is fulfilling its role, whether it is plants or the sun or the rivers, anything you take in nature. It's performing its dharma towards collective well-being, the sustenance and maintenance of the entire system. It is all Ishvara's will. If I fulfill my role, I am aligned to Ishvara's will. This is how you begin to understand your connection, with others, your connection with Ishvara. This is how we begin to understand. Small steps. So I read this story on Monday on Facebook and I loved it. So I thought I would include it in today's workshop. So these are two kids from Bombay and she's 23 and he's 21. And they like to sing. They are good at singing. Okay? What did they do with their singing? So they said, we were only 6 years old when the Kargil war was going on. During that time, we saw a newspaper ad that asked people to donate for our soldiers, and because we couldn't afford a lot, my brother and I went from shop to shop singing "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo" and ended up collecting 25,000 rupees for our soldiers. We felt like we had used our talent for something important and we wanted to keep at it. So they recognized their role towards a very important aspect of our society, which is the soldier. And they did something about it. Since then, we've been doing 100% charity shows under the name Save Little Hearts. It all began when a poor shoe seller contacted us to help his child who had suffering from congenital heart defect. We organized a small show and thought we would have to perform 5 to 6 times before we can collect the entire amount, but we collected 55,000 rupees overnight. This is a real story. And these are normal kids like us. Since then, we focused on arranging money for children with heart ailments. And over the years, we collected over 3.25 crores for our cause and saved the lives of over 800 children. So this is how you fulfill your faith. So it's not doing anything out of this world, going to an amazing university. It's not about that. And these people are fulfilled. Right? It's not that they are not fulfilled or they are not happy. Actually, there is research which shows that when you engage in acts of kindness, when you engage in acts of giving, your overall level of well-being is much higher. It's backed by research. And you as students of psychology can do research on this. When you, in any situation, anywhere you are, just recognize what should be your role. How can you fulfill your role? And you will feel at home everywhere. We feel so disconnected with the world. A lot of people miss their home, you know. If you begin to recognize your role in every situation, every place will feel like home. Yeah? You connect with others. That's how. Now, the second aspect of Karma Yoga is to understand what should be our approach towards results. For each action there is a result. Generally we react to the result. Sometimes these reactions are very negative and can cost us a lot of our mental well-being, physical well-being. So it's important to understand how do we approach the results. So what this whole methodology of Karma Yoga does is that it makes you role oriented. Where is your focus? On your role. You have to recognize your role and fulfill it. Where the result will come. We can choose only our action, not the result. It's a statement of fact. Can we choose the result? We cannot. We can only choose what to do. Who chooses the result? Huh? Who chooses the result?
Our actions and
Actions.
We can choose our actions and hope for a certain kind of result, but we can't for sure pick the result.
We can't pick the result. We can hope for the result. Results are governed by the laws of Ishvara. This is the philosophy of Vedanta. Everything in this universe is governed by the laws of Ishvara. Nothing happens just like that. Right? There is a law to it. So there is a law and the result. Vedanta believes in causality. If a result has come, then it is a perfect result in the given conditions. When we choose to do an action, there are many variables which affect it. Some are known to us, some are not known to us. Actually, most variables are not known to us. How they will affect the result, we don't know. And when we don't know what is affecting the result and how, then how can we set an expectation for our result? Our expectation is based in ignorance. Ignorance about this reality. So what the result is perfect. It's according to the given conditions. And we have to see it as that. We have to accept the result graciously from Ishvara. That is the philosophy. Accept the result graciously from Ishvara. And it's a beautiful philosophy, and I'll talk more about it. If this is inculcated, then one is able to accept both success and failure with equanimity.
So,
Yes.
could you please elaborate a bit more on the laws of Ishvara and stuff?
Yes. So, for example, the law of gravity is the law of Ishvara. The law of thermodynamics, law of Ishvara. All the laws that we study in science are nothing but laws of Ishvara.
So, in the previous episode, we had discussed that I reside in Ishvara and Ishvara resides in me. In that case, results are governed by us.
No. So, good point. Where is my I first of all? If my I is in the body and mind, then I am separate from Ishvara. Right? This is the mentality with which we are working. So, here we are talking about that mentality. Okay? Now, when I understand that this body and mind is nothing but Ishvara. Okay? And the truth of it all is consciousness. Yes? Then I rise about it. Good question. So, there is no success, no failure. There is just a result. It's not being blind to the result. It's not about being indifferent to the result. It's just looking at the result objectively and accepting it from Ishvara. Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the law of gravity is law of Ishvara. Ishvara was something to do. So a discovery which was made by a person, how are we calling it as a law of Ishvara?
Because we are only discovering laws of Ishvara. We did not discover gravity. We did not make gravity. We are just discovering. So it's all given. Gravity existed before that. Before our discovery.
made aware of it.
We are just becoming aware of it. We are understanding it better. We are just trying to understand Ishvara better. All the fields of knowledge are just about unraveling Ishvara. One therefore shifts from a reactive approach towards results to a calm and composed acceptance of results. First thing that this approach ensures is that I am calm and composed. It's not a passive approach. You still have the choice to take corrective action. But you can take corrective action only when you have a calm mind, capable of thinking clearly, reasoning clearly, that where the result could have gone wrong, where do I need to take corrective action? This is what this ensures.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we should have the ability to just observe the result and understand what we can do to possibly improve it if it has not gone in the manner that we had hoped for.
Yes.
But the problem that occurs in a very practical sense is that the result is often connected to some kind of desire that we have. Okay? And if the result doesn't go in the manner that we had hoped for, then that plan that we had made for our lives is not realized and not fulfilled. And then when we start the process of repeating the entire exercise, there is a greater degree of desperation. It's there is not, supposing just as an example, I'm trying for a particular exam, and I'm doing the best that I can, and I don't get in this time. I may not get in the second time. When I'm trying again the third time, it's very difficult to be calm and neutral and objective about things, because there is such a great, there is such a strong desire which is attached to it, and there's such a degree of desperation which enters into the equation, because I know that if this doesn't work out in the manner exactly that I want, not what Ishvara wants, in the manner that I want, then the journey that I've charted for my life will not be realized.
Then I will remain inadequate.
Yes, yes.
So, to correct that, the first thing is to understand that I am not pursuing actions for overcoming my inadequacy. You have to take that out of your system first thing. I am pursuing the exam because this exam is important as far as my role is concerned. An exam can be related to your field of study, which will give you a certain position where you can implement your knowledge better, for example. And so you are just trying to fulfill your role by giving that exam. So your focus is on fulfillment of your role, first of all. That role can be fulfilled in 1,000 different ways. Understand that. It's not just dependent on that exam. When you develop this understanding, that it's about the role, not the activity per se, then you explore creative avenues to fulfill your role.
So calls for a degree of detachment also, in a sense.
Yes,
Detachment
detachment.
from my own desire and
Yes.
detachment from my own idea about what journey my life should take.
Yes.
So, in that sense, who determines the whole?
Meaning that it doesn't make sense to have plans actually.
Who determines the goal? Okay, good. Who determines the goal? We have to, yes, we have been placed in a certain country, in a certain society, in a certain community, in a certain family. All of this has been given to us. Now, within it, we have to determine our own way. We have the free will. We have the will to choose, to recognize. Yes? So, it's entirely my own interpretation. Yes? I may not be 100% correct in my interpretation of my roles, but as I make progress, as I begin the process of purification of my mind, I become more and more clear about what my roles are. So it's a journey. Yes? We begin with, so we have Shastras which talk about these are the roles of an individual. So you can use that as a mandate. Then you can develop on that, and within the time and place that you are, you can improve upon it. Right? So this verse is one of the most beautiful verses of the Gita. And it says, Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyakva Dhananjaya Siddhi Asiddhi Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yog Uchyate. Samatvam is yoga. Karma yoga means this equality, equal-mindedness towards results. We recognize this. Do we recognize this? What is this? Charanam, yes. So it's prashadam, basically. Prashadam. It depicts the act of taking prashadam. Yeah? What do you think? What is that prashadam all about? Does anyone know? Why do we get that prasad? We go to the temple or we do the puja and we ask God, give me a good husband or a good wife, give me a good house, give me a good job, and all He gives you is prasadam. Why? So you have to understand. Prasadam means happiness and health. That's the meaning of the word prasadam. Why do you need a good wife or a good husband? Or why do you need a good house or a good job? For happiness, right? How will you have happiness? When you're trying for all these things, and whatever the result is given to you by Ishvara, you have the ability to accept it graciously with a calm mind. Then there will be happiness. Then whatever the result will be, success or failure, it will be sweet to us. Just like the prashadam. Sweet prashadam. That is what it represents. It's a philosophy. You go to the temple and you make an offering. In life, each action is an offering. And the result will be given by Ishvara. The physical result is one thing. But what is more important? The state of your mind. and Ishvara gives you what you're actually looking for, happens. It says that understand that results come from you. Ishvara says that. This is called prasada buddhi. This whole approach towards results is called prasada buddhi. So next time when you receive the prasada, remember this, that you have to do all actions in this spirit, that I am performing my roles and the result will be given to me by Ishvara, which I have to accept graciously, with equanimity, with a non-reactive approach. I need to act, not react. And this is again backed by research. You heard the term gratitude? Yes? Generally we show gratitude when only good things happen to us. Yeah? That's the Western way of looking at it. The Indian way of looking at it is whether it is a good thing happening or a bad thing happening, is all coming from Ishvara. Accept it graciously as prasada. That is true gratitude. Otherwise, half the time you will be unhappy, ungrateful. What does gratitude do for your mind? This is real research. Gratitude helps increase parasympathetic activity of the nervous system, reduce stress, and have a calm mind. Every day, before going to bed, list out 5 things that you're grateful for. It will help you sleep better. You'll be at peace. Gratitude is the opposite of suffering. The moment you express your thankfulness for all that you have, you realize, my God, I am such a lucky person. It broadens and builds our mind. One is more likely to act proactively. This is also research. One is more likely to act proactively. And this is what the approach is ensuring. That when you accept with a calm mind, then you can take corrective action proactively with a clear mind. Gratitude helps one live a happier and healthier life. So bring gratitude in your life, not just for the good things, for everything. This understanding needs to be extended to all situations in life, especially adverse situations, difficult situations, problems. Be calm in those situations. Accept it like it is being given to you by Ishvara. Understand that this situation does not just apply to you, it's not just for me, it's for everyone. It's a larger reality which has many implications which I don't even know of. When I think of myself as just this limited entity, when I think of all these adversities having an impact, what do they have an impact on me? If I like it, okay. If I don't like it, nothing. Think of the larger perspective of these situations. If a situation has arisen, it has implications which we can't even imagine. Therefore, be calm and then drive your life intelligently towards purification of your life. All that you can do is have a control on your mind. Purify your mind. Keep your mind free from reactions, free from your sense of limitation. You purify your mind. Again, a quote by Sri Aurobindo. If this is done, then it becomes possible to move among the objects of sense in contact with them, acting on them, but with the senses entirely under control, not at the mercy of the objects and their contacts and reactions. So, Gita gives us a very simple image of a lotus leaf. The flower is beautiful, but look at the leaf. Gita said, make your mind like the lotus leaf. The lotus leaf stays on dirty water, yet it is unaffected by it. It is a scientific proven fact. Today, this quality of the lotus leaf is used to make paint, which is called lotus paint, so that it naturally repels water. So make your mind like the lotus leaf, where it is unaffected by the impurities of your reactive nature, your sense of separation. Yes.
Now, important. I think you must answer his dilemma that if a person is constantly trying examinations for 4 to 5 times and keep on failing or not achieving what is being desired, then what is the advice you would like?
First of all, he needs to understand. Yes. First of all, he needs to understand that this exam that he is giving is to meet a certain role. What role is it? He has to recognize that.
Let's talk in a very concrete terms, in the sense that he is aspiring for examination, IAS examination, UPSC examination. The person is constantly, which is the usual scenario.
Right.
And the person is depressed, anxious, unable to achieve, and he feels that I should be in a powerful role, and because he feels or she feels that he must go up to that level in life to perform that role. So if that is there, then it is much more easier for him to actually contribute significantly. And that's the dharma he assumes for himself.
If his role, if his thinking is that I want to make a contribution to society, then there are
What
yes.
happens to that position?
But there are many other ways by which the
No, I am just posing this perplexed thing so that we can understand it more clearly.
I understand what you're saying, but then you have to interpret it. If you can accomplish what an IAS does without becoming an IAS, then being an IAS is desirable and a great honor, and you should try for it. But does that mean if you are a contributor, suppose if you are by nature a contributor to society, then do you really need name IAS written?
I'm not talking about in the sense of status as such, because this is a real issue.
This is a real
This
issue.
is a real issue.
Yes.
And
But then these people need to understand what that's very important. You know, people pursue exams. People pursue MBA, for example. They want to do something great in life. Their idea about greatness is not clear. Even the people who are pursuing IAS, their idea of contributing is not clear. They have to first understand what is their vision here. And there are 1,000 different ways of accomplishing that vision. Exam may be one of these ways, and becoming an IAS may be one of these ways. But if you're failing, can you let your role suffer at the cost of the exam? It's debatable. It may be not right to
actually,
you.
it's not debatable. Frankly, it's not debatable. It's a puzzle. Because this puzzle actually ends up in this question, what she was saying, that when there is a conflict in roles, which role I should perform. For example, if there is too much demand from the family side, or the society side, or from my own personal desires and aspirations, whatever it is, then how can we come from this perspective? I'm very much in aligned with this. But it is very important for us to come to some kind of not only understanding, but to some solution. The this
So there is no one right solution.
Yeah.
There is no one right solution. There can be n number of solutions. Whatever solution you choose is your choice. Yes, and depending upon your understanding of your roles. If you make a choice to give up the pursuit of the exam and take up something else for a while, you need to give yourself that option. Because see, your purpose has to be purification of mind. The purpose, the role is a medium. The purpose is purification of mind. The purpose is self-awareness. Yes?
Yeah.
It's a complex issue and it cannot be answered in such simple ways. It's not simplistic like that. But everyone has to reflect on their life. It's not easy.
Because you are living at a point, you are actually proposing a solution, but you are living a solution at a point where one must decide either on the purification of the mind as a goal, ultimate goal, or as a position that I have to select. But we need to also understand the social reality and the scenario. That, for example, I can talk about myself or I can talk about this age because there is an age difference also. So, if for example, a person who is studying or who is just cleared class 12 and who wants to get into the college, he or she is confused what he or she should really, because it's a career actually. It's a dharma, basically. What kind of role? Secondly, for example, if a person has already taken an XYZ courses and then moved on to the next program in life, where they are again stuck up with the idea that what should be my next goal, which profession I should really get into it, because such issues actually very rare. Most of the people
मेरे समझ से ये बहुत रिडक्शनिस्ट को देखा गया है, नहीं इसलिए स्वधर्म की बात की जाती है. Swadharma is your inner calling, your inner law.
Yes.
And ultimately, till such time that you have not gotten in touch with that, to follow the dharma.
You see, I talk about this a lot when I do the workshop entirely on Swadharma, where I talk about this in detail. Here I talk about it in very brief. And one way of finding your role and your vision in life, for example, for young people who want to choose their career path.
So
The best way is to go with the vision of with the spirit of oneness. When you begin to live consciously with oneness, then you discover yourself. Where will your role arise from? When you understand where you are fitting, you have to live with oneness. You have to see, consciously live every day. It's not that pursuing a particular course is important. It's about
it's a very difficult task. I'm actually
It's a difficult
in the
task.
very problematic areas. That
I'll give you an example.
how should I choose that so-called particular thing?
I'll give you an
As you said,
example.
inner calling, but I think you know very well that it's really not a very easy thing to, in this age, or maybe in some other age.
We'll take it up.
Yes, I'll just give you one example, and maybe it sort of gives you an inkling of what I'm trying to say. I read about this and I talk about this in my workshops also. A young girl of 16 years old used to go to school every day in an auto. Okay? And she used to see street children playing with broken stuff, broken bottles or whatever. She used to see that every day. One day she felt oneness with them and she thought they should have toys like I had toys when I was a kid. Having toys made a huge difference in my upbringing. It's an important aspect of a child's upbringing. That day she decided she would collect toys and distribute them to these children. She was in school. On weekends, she would collect toys and start giving them to children. She went on to set up a toy library in Delhi by the name of Lakshan. Now she has 50 toy libraries all over India. Now she is working on education. This is how you discover your way. So if you live consciously in the spirit of oneness, yes, you won't try to discover anything.
I would like to.
Just one. Yes.
एक और एग्जाम्पल इनके बाद में
Yes.
We know that.
So it's small solution in that. When we are talking about Swadharma and the concept of Raga and Dvesha, so we also have to keep in mind that we don't fall into the trap of Raga and Dvesha while we are pursuing certain role and certain also, then if we are trying to feel that a particular position will help me, finding my own healthy society. And if I'm not killing that role, that particular role, I should also keep in mind that I am also not getting result oriented. If I'm too obsessed with that result oriented approach, even if I reach that particular role, I might not be successful in helping the society or so-called contribution I want to make. So, while we are talking, having all this discussion and the Swadharma thing, we also have to keep in mind the Raga Dvesha traps and the result-oriented approach. It should not be all over our head.
I don't need what I remember, there is a teacher in LSR, Lady Shri Ram College.